Ladies and gentlemen, making a return to the Farzy Show, our dear friend, Liberty Baller Zone, Renaissance Fair, Upstate PA Zone, Nickelback cover band zone.
Ooh,
Ooh, was that one too far, Paul? That one might have
yeah,
been too
I
far.
didn't like that. You
I'm
were doing
sorry.
well.
I was doing well, then I just crossed the line, didn't
Yeah.
I? I'm a
Again,
jerk.
yeah,
I'm a
going
jerk.
well.
Well, thanks for joining us. I'll quit there, my friend. No, it's great to catch up with you again, my friend. Seriously, it's good to see you. I don't know, in all honesty, and if you're not following Paul, ladies and gentlemen, please, by all means, follow Paul right here on Twitter, Liberty Ballers, aka Mr. Paul, according to Tyrese Maxey. Paul Hudrick from Liberty Ballers. What am I to believe about Kevin Durant and any chance Kevin Durant is a 76er? What am I to believe with all the reports that are swirling around the association nowadays?
I would say you have a chance in the Lloyd Christmas, so you're telling me there's a chance.
Okay.
Because I could understand. I could certainly. It makes sense that Kevin Durant would be interested in joining the Sixers, right? I mean, to play with Joel Embiid, clearly they have a really good connection. They have a huge mutual respect for each other. You saw that the last couple of years, them going back and forth, how competitive they are with each other. And now, the only thing that might have been frosty was the relationship with James Harden, but now we can see they are back to being buds again. They are cool. They're friendly. So if you're Kevin Durant, why not? Why would you not want to come to Philadelphia, play with those two guys? If the Sixers get Kevin Durant, they are the favorites, right? Like they are the favorites to win it all, like without a doubt. And then from the Sixers perspective, yeah, no brainer. Would you like one of the greatest players to ever play basketball? Yes, we would. To accompany with the two other guys who kind of fit that criteria. So, from the Sixers side, I get it. From the Durant side, I get it. From the Nets side, I do not. That's where the issue is. And I think where Durant is, it's not a situation where, at least not that I've seen and not that anyone else has reported, that Durant has said, send me to Philadelphia and that's it, right? Like I have not seen that out there. Like not like the Anthony Davis situation where like he send me to the Lakers. Like that's where he wanted to go. That's where he wanted to be. It's not that type of situation. There are other options they can send him to. One of those options perhaps being the Boston Celtics, which, yeah, that's not going to feel real good for Sixers fans to hear. But when, look at the betting odds, like as recently it was the Celtics that were the ones. I saw Sam Amick of the Athletic report that that's the front runner offer. When you're looking at, Jaylen Brown, Grant Williams, Robert Williams, and picks, that's quite frankly, with all due respect to what the Sixers have to offer, it's a better offer. And this is that's coming from me, who is as high on Tyrese Maxey as anyone you'll find. This guy is going to be an all-star. Like he's that good. And the sky is the limit. I don't know how good he's going to be yet, but you also have to factor in that they'll have to take back the last 2 years of Tobias Harris's contract to make the money work. Sure, you want to throw Matisse Thybulle in there? Yeah, there's potential there. The guy is a two-time, second team all defensive team pick, still a commodity, still a guy that has value. But then after that, what are you giving them? The 2029 first-round pick? Because you can't trade any picks. You're lightening the protections, I suppose, on the 2027 pick you owe the Nets. But why am I doing that when I could go other routes and get other things done? Look at Toronto and what they can offer with, either a Scotty Barnes or an OG Anunoby. Like, with all due respect to what the Sixers have and how good I think Tyrese Maxey can be, I just think unless Durant says, I'm going to the Sixers or I'm going to retire or I'm going to sit out the whole season, I don't see the path.
So, in other words, other teams can offer the better package and the more proven commodity already, like a Jaylen Brown, for instance.
Sure. And I guess the one thing I would note, and a lot of very smart people have already noted this, is that with Jaylen Brown, he only has 2 years left on his deal. The cap is supposed to see a spike in 2025. So there's a good chance, if things don't go well for Jaylen Brown in Brooklyn, if he gets traded there, he's going to walk, right? And he's a Georgia guy. So would he go back to perhaps Atlanta, which would have a good amount of money, and go play with Trae Young down there? So there is flight risk there when you're talking about Jaylen Brown, whereas with Maxey, it's maybe not as much. But if you're talking about kind of like what you said, the proven commodity, you want to be good now. Jaylen Brown was just on a team that went to the finals. He's already an all-star basketball player, and wings too. That's the other thing too. It is much harder to find elite wings than it is to find elite guards. So if you're Brooklyn and you can get your hands on a guy like that, yeah, that's the package I lean towards. And again, same with Toronto. That's why I lean towards that package too, because wings are just so hard to get.
It's interesting that you mentioned Toronto, because a lot of the common reports are Philadelphia, Boston, Miami, Phoenix even, and now you're saying Toronto as well. So it seems like the Nets, I mean, why would the Nets in this instance do a favor for Kevin Durant at this point?
Yeah, and to me, if I'm the Nets, I'm making him hold out. Like I'm not trading him unless I have to, right? Like, because you're not going to, the word is they're getting lowballed. And of course they are. Everyone's trying to steal one of the greatest players of all time. And no one's going to make like their best offer yet. And so, yeah, I'm going to hold on to him. I'm going to hold on to him because that's the other thing, Mark. Like, if they can smooth things over and if they could bring Kevin Durant back, Kyrie Irving plays, the vaccination status doesn't matter this year. You know, if Ben Simmons is healthy, because I know, and listen, I know the city of Philadelphia is very down on Ben Simmons. He is the punchline of a lot of jokes. A lot of that is very fair. But when the guy plays basketball, he's pretty darn good. And when you put him with guys like Durant and guys like Irving who can score and who can shoot and could do those other things, he could fit in really nicely in there. You know, and then they also, you know, they have a Patty Mills who's a good player. The fella named Seth Curry, who is pretty good here, who's still there. Nick Claxton, who's a good young center. Like they have Cameron Thomas. They have a few good pieces that if Durant and Kyrie come back, they're going to be competitive. Like they're going to be a team that's going to fight for the East if they can smooth it all over. So if I'm the Nets, I'm not in a hurry. And to me, it's going to come down to Kevin Durant telling me I am not showing up to training camp before I even seriously start entertaining stuff.
Mm-hmm. Where do you think the Sixers are on his list in terms of the places he wants to go?
Well, the first reports were Phoenix and it was
Miami,
Phoenix and Miami, I believe. Yeah. So I would imagine, and I get Phoenix, right? I think he wants to play with Devin Booker, which I totally can respect and understand. A guy like Chris Paul wanted to play with him. I get and respect that too. So I sort of, and not only that, Phoenix was the #1 seed last year. You put Kevin Durant on that team, that's pretty interesting. That's a team that should, again, whatever it feels like whatever team, if he gets traded, whichever team gets him, that team becomes the instant title favorite. So like with Phoenix, certainly they would become that. So I think Phoenix is high on the list. Sure, Miami I think would be pretty high on that list too, but Miami's tricky because you know, the best player they could probably offer the Nets is Hero, and I'm not sure that's going to be nearly enough. You know, they can't offer Bam Adebayo because of that whole rookie scale contract thing where they already had Ben on that. Mm-hmm. So that complicates matters. So I mean, I guess real
quick on that, and look, Lloyd Christmas wouldn't even say there's a chance of this happening, but I just want to make sure I have the logistics right and the rules right. But if Ben Simmons is a part of the deal to go to Miami, Bam could be a part of that deal to go to Brooklyn, no?
He could be, but do you think that Jimmy Butler wants Ben Simmons on his team in Miami?
Absolutely not, unless Jimmy Butler was also a part of that deal.
Perhaps, but I don't see the Miami deal. I think Miami is very bought in with Jimmy as the guy, and I think Jimmy has proven their investment to be wise with the way, especially he looked last year. He was fantastic for them.
After he wanted to kick Spoelstra's ass. That team really straightened its
Haslam too,
and he does Haslam as well. All right, so this really just seems like a wildly unlikely scenario for Kevin Durant to wind up in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's not impossible. I mean, sure, like if you're, again, the scenario where if you're looking at it from the Nets perspective, a guy like Maxey could be attractive because he is so young, because you have the opportunity to retain him for a long time. I would think that Rich Paul would be delighted to have him play with Ben Simmons, his other clutch client. So that's a good thing that you'd have going for you if you're the Nets. So from that perspective, maybe, but at the same time, like all these other teams we mentioned, I just think they can offer more. And to me, like I already said, like if I'm the Nets, I'm holding out. I'm holding out for as long as I can.
All right. Aside from Kevin Durant, do you get the feeling that this offseason, in terms of making any tweaks to this lineup, do you feel like it is done and this is the team we're going to see come training camp with Thibault and Tobias Harris on this roster right now?
I would say Tobias Harris feels very, very safe to be on this team opening night. And that's what I've been told as well. That's the words I've been hearing for a while, actually. I think the opportunities to perhaps move him were earlier in the summer around the draft, and I don't think what I've been told vehemently from the Sixer side of things is that they never wanted to sell players, right? Like if they were going to trade Tobias Harris, they wanted to get something for him. They weren't just giving him away. It wasn't a salary dump. They wanted to have assets in return. And that deal never came to fruition because, quite frankly, he makes a lot of money, and he makes a lot of money over the next 2 years. So that trade just never seemed feasible. And I also think to Tobias's credit, he proved himself to be a good enough player to help this basketball team win games. So you don't want to give away a guy like that. The price tag stinks. It's tough against the cap, but you also have Maxey on a rookie contract. So it kind of comes out of the wash in the end. But yeah, I would say Thibault is safe right now, but I think the situation I would monitor would be the Donovan Mitchell situation in Utah. Not for them to get Donovan Mitchell, but that would start the fire sale, right? For Utah. If Donovan Mitchell goes, you have two really attractive guys that I think would fit great here. And that's Patrick Beverley, who has a history with Daryl Morey, has a history with James Harden, has a history with Doc Rivers, would fit great here, would be a seamless fit. The other guy I think would actually be a better fit would be Jordan Clarkson. They could use another guy, a guard, dynamics, can score, was the former sixth man of the year, coming off a little bit of a down year, but you play him in some lineups with Joel Embiid. I mean, this guy can feast. And I think they have enough. His weakness is defense, but I think they'd have enough when you're bringing a DeAnthony Melton off the bench and a Daniel House off the bench, lineups with PJ Tucker. When you have those type of guys, you can afford to have a Jordan Clarkson on the floor because he's surrounded with so much defense and so much size and so much physicality. That's the guy to me that I would target. So like you're, asking, do I think this is what this roster looks like? Is anything going to change? I think they are comfortable with where they are. If nothing happens between now and opening night, they're good with riding with what they have. But if an opportunity presents itself, Daryl Morey is going to take it. If there's a chance to make this team better, make this team even deeper, I think he will gladly take it.
Do you think we'll ever know how much money Ben Simmons got from the Sixers with this grievance case that just wrapped up? Do you think we'll ever even have an idea of how much money he made from the $20 million?
No, I don't. I think it's in. Here's what I mean. This is all guesswork. This is not me knowing anything no inside knowledge of this, but it seemed to me the league probably wanted the Sixers to go and fight it tooth and nail. You know what I mean? Because of the precedent it sets, right?
Sure. Okay, good. All right. That's a good point.
That's why the NBA probably wanted them to pursue it more. I think from the Sixers perspective, it was, let's move the hell on. Like, why are we letting this linger? Like, let's find a number. Let's all move on. Ben, good luck in Brooklyn. We're going to do our thing here. And let's just, I think mostly that's what's going to happen, right? Like, it happened, and it really hasn't been much to follow up on. Like, this is it. Like, we don't know the number. We're probably never going to know the number. So, and I think it behooves both sides to just kind of move on and do their thing. I personally am very much in favor of never having to talk about it ever again. So yeah, I don't foresee that ever coming out. I imagine there is a legal issue if that does leak out, that if someone does leak it out, they might get in some trouble.
I don't want to one up you. I like your sources better than mine, but he did. It wasn't a giant bag of cash that Ben Simmons got from the Sixers. Rumor has it, it was a flaming bag of dog poo that they left on his doorstep, and he had to stomp it out in his little house in L.A. there, the $17.5 million mansion.
What was
that
the
he's
guy
got
in Billy Madison, old man?
I can't confirm or deny. Come on, to relieve the sources. Anyway. Last thing for you here, my friend. When it comes to the 76ers squad as currently constructed, I think a lot of it hinges on the maturation process of Tyrese Maxey, who you already said is probably going to make an all-star team in the not too distant future, maybe even the upcoming year. But after that, I think it goes down to James Harden and what you're going to get from James Harden. We're seeing him look like a track star in the offseason. Are you buying into the workout videos? Are you buying into this slender version of James Harden and a much better upgraded version of James Harden we're going to get in the upcoming season?
I think you're going to see a better version because I think the hamstring being healthy alone and the fact that he's been able to play pickup all summer long, I think that's huge. I saw the one interview where he talked about his diet and he said, like, hey, like all these years, I kind of ate whatever I wanted and then just worked. But now I can't do that. I have to change my diet. And I'm like, well, good for you to realize that at 32 years old. Joel Embiid realized that at what? I think like 26, 27 when he hired a dietitian and all that. So everyone kind of has that moment. And I think last year, look, James Harden is a prideful guy, right? I mean, this is a guy who was the MVP of the league, one of the top 75 players of all time. Like I'm sure when he looks back on how that season ended, he's not happy about it. I'm sure he did not feel good about it. And he probably had to look in the mirror and say to himself, all right, what do I do? Like, what do I do to make sure this never happens again? And I think that's a big part of it is the health and taking care of yourself. And when you're talking about hamstrings and soft tissue and all that, I mean, that stuff takes forever to come back. It takes even longer if you're not doing the proper things to take care of your body. You don't have to be an athletic trainer or a nutritionist to know these things. Like, it's just the reality of the human body. When you take care of your body, it works better. And I think that's why I am buying it. I think he will be better. I think the hamstring's going to be healthier. I think it looks like he's dropped a little bit of weight. And he's just changed his outlook. And, to see him and Joel Embiid kind of bond more than we've ever seen Joel Embiid bond with maybe any teammate ever other than Jimmy Butler, it's all very encouraging. So, of course we have to see it, right? Like we have to see it. We can't go too nuts about it, but it's very encouraging to hear what he has to say and to see him in action and doing and actually taking these steps. And when you see him in these pickup games, he looks pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to close on this. 2 questions, yes or no questions. Ready? Are the Phillies making the playoffs, and are the Eagles winning the division?
Yes.
Boom! Thank you very much. His name is Paul Hudrick, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys read all his stuff, listen to all his stuff, by way of Liberty Ballers, of course. He's the great Paul Hudrick. Paul, always great catching up with you, man. And you look like $1 million damn dollars, no matter how I can describe you. That's the best way to do it, my friend. Thanks so much.
Of course. And again, the Bradley Cooper in A Star Is Born was the preference.
You're right.
So
tell me something, Paul. He's Kevin Durant on the Sixers squad. All right, that was selfish of me. That was just for me. It wasn't even for the audience or for you.
I kind of enjoyed it.
My brother. The great Paul Hudrick joining us right here from Liberty Ballers. Thanks, Paulie.
Anytime, Mark.